What up, guys? You know who it is. It's your boy, Enrique, and welcome to Juice Force Junkie Nation. And this is the first real video that I'm making and producing with my fiance on my racing. And we're going to be discussing, and I'm going to be showing you the videos of what I went through and how it all started. So the first video is pretty much a tryout that I was given by a team to drive in California to see if I would like, if I could fit in the team and everything. And to go a little further back, and I think I just discussed this a while back, but I've been a racing fanatic, a racing fan since I was a little kid, and it was thanks to my brother. He got me into it. He was already watching Formula One and endurance racing like a monster at a very young age. And then when I was a little kid, he was older than me. He introduced me to it, and we would wake up early in the morning to watch F1 and watch some of the legends and greats, and watch Le Mans, watch DTM if we could get it um, on TV, and we would just watch everything. You name it, we watched it. So growing up that way, and then playing video games with my brother, like Formula One games and even Le Mans games on controller. I know they don't count as a simulator, but it got me into it. And then before simulations were even a real thing, my brother ended up getting Test Drive Le Mans. And if some of you know what game that is, you know. It's very old. It's early 2000. And he got it, and he also bought a steering wheel pedal. And I remember at a young age playing that as a really kind of like the first sim. You know, the force feedback was horrible, but it still worked. And I did that for like 2 years, playing that game nonstop. I would bother my sister because that was her computer. And finally it broke. And then I was in high school around that time too. And I actually, honestly, even before that, I did do some go-karting, like kid go-karts or whatever. And I was like 7 years old. And I remember I was so in love with it the first time, even though it didn't go the way I wanted it to go. I didn't do that well in the go-kart, but I fell in love with it. And I remember the next time after that I did it, I did amazing. I was a quick learner. And I remember the first time my father tried teaching my sister how to drive. She struggled, and I remember he was like, "Oh, I bet you I could teach Enrique." And I was already 12 years old, and I remember he put me in the car, and I picked it up pretty quickly. And when I finally got my license later on, I remember my father said, "Yeah, you're the first person I've taught who picked it up very quickly." That's because I played sim games, and by that time, I already played like Gran Turismo. And then after I graduated high school, I got my first real steering wheel. Inexpensive, but it was pretty good. I used it for Gran Turismo and Ford Sail back in the day, and I got pretty good at it, you know. And then finally, I tried doing racing or racing school because I've always wanted to do it. Like my ultimate dream was becoming a race car driver, and I finally had the opportunity to do it in my like when I was 27, and something happened to the school, the academy had to declare bankruptcy, so I never ended up doing it. And I was already uh, had a career as a firefighter, paramedic, and it sucked because I wanted it so bad. And then I waited a couple years, and then I did it. I tried again, and finally, it was a push from my fiance to get me to that point where I was like, okay, I can do this. So I went to Skip Barber Racing School, and we went to Road Atlanta for the 3 days basic, which was an amazing experience. And I have the videos on YouTube if you wanted to watch. And then the advanced course was in Sebring, where I live in Florida, which I know the course pretty well, and it was an amazing experience as well. And finally, that gave me the competition license. So we started looking around for teams. We didn't know how to even approach it.
Actually, I would like to interfere and interrupt. I am said fiance. Enrique did not look for teams. I looked for teams. And here is my epic tale, as I have to tell it. So, this little man wanted to go and race, and there's a quote that says, if you ever want to see your dreams come true, put the idea in the head of a woman who loves you. And good golly, do I love him. Because I was emailing teams left, right. I would do my 9 to 5 in a clinic, and then I would come home and I would email nonstop for sponsorships and teams from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. That was my second job. And then everybody was too expensive, way out of our budget. It's really an expensive sport. So what did I do? I went to my main source of research, Reddit. I went to Reddit, boys and girls, and I made all my research through Reddit. I sat there, I made a little thread, and I said, you know what? This is where the men will come. And the men did come. They commented, and they left me so many different ideas. And what they really did is they actually steered me towards US TCC, US Touring Car Championship, which helped me find the West Coast teams. And I actually was able to contact the head of NASA, Ali. Shout out to Ali, our show, who helped me get in touch with another team who was looking for drivers. And that's how this man made it. Because of me and Reddit.
This man.
This man made it because of me, my efforts, and Reddit. Sponsor us, Reddit.
Teams, because we didn't know how to even approach this. So she looked everywhere for me. I looked around here and there. And obviously, it's a pretty expensive endeavor. And that's probably one of the things that I wish could change about racing, or that the opportunities could be given to people who don't necessarily have the money but have the skill. But that's a whole other story. Anyways, we found a racing series called USTCC, and the owner of the racing category gave us a few teams that were looking for drivers, and we messaged one or two of them, and they told us, all right, if you're interested, come out, drive a car. There's a race during the off season that you can do, which is what you're gonna see, that I've been producing and editing right now. And while the video plays, I also give you details about things that happened and things that I experienced on my first time, and how I could relate the sim to the real world driving, and how there's similarities, but there's definitely, I believe, more differences. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll talk to you after the video as well. See ya. I need to ask them.
practice and qualifying at the end of the day. But the craziest thing about it was that the whole day it's been raining, and then finally around the evening, it started drying out a little bit. But this is just one of the clips that we did of me going out there, and from the very beginning, we ended up finding out that there was like something wrong with the car. It just felt off, and it was the transmission. Something in the transmission was off. Either it was a clutch, or the transmission itself. Because anytime I would try to shift a car into a certain gear, like maybe downshifting from fourth to third, I would have difficulty getting it into the correct gear, and I would have to like press the clutch again and try to get it back into the correct gear. And the same with probably even going up from like fourth to fifth. I would try to go up to fifth, and it would just get stuck like in between the gears. So I went back to the garage after the practices, and I told them a few times like there's something wrong with it, and they grabbed on the shifter and like it felt good to them. I told them it felt off, and it was hard for me to get comfortable when you're not in tune with the car, or the car does something that you don't expect it to do. I've driven manual transmission cars since I was a teenager, and I never had an issue, unless I did something wrong. But I can tell you, I would try to shift and it wasn't going into gear sometimes, and I also felt a little misaligned. And I thought that was the major issue, is that it felt off, like it was in a weird angle. But after qualifying or in practice, we brought it back in. I told them, and yeah, just because of that, I couldn't really get to full pace. All I could worry about was learning the lines, and I couldn't get into the zone of learning the car's limits, unfortunately. But it is what it is, and hopefully for race day things will be different. Thank you, baby.
I remember.
Yeah. Hey, what up, guys? So this was the next day. This is actually race start right here. We're rolling out of the pits, but I did get there nice and early, and I did get to take it out one more time before the race and drive it around. But before I went out, I actually spoke to the mechanic, Drew, and Drew told me that he took the car out after checking everything that he could, and then he realized and he could feel what I was explaining to him about the shifter not really feeling like it's aligned perfectly, and it kind of gave him some troubles. So he took it out in the morning, brought it back in, and he said that he fumbled around with the gate on the shifter, he said that he thinks you know fixed it or made it feel better. So before the race, an hour or two before, there was one more practice, and I took it out, and I got to drive it, and it felt way better. But as you'll see, there was something else there lurking. There was an issue there with the car. Even in the very beginning, when the race starts, you could see that I was struggling with shifting here and there. And you'd actually see that what I was explaining about me trying to go into like fourth to fifth, it wouldn't go in. But in that practice, I actually did get to push a lot more, and I realized that the car, had more potential, and I was getting there. It's just in the back of my mind, the whole issue of it not shifting correctly was there, and it really does make it difficult to drive. As hard as you want when you have to worry about something else, especially something like that. But this is us warming up the car. I'm swerving back and forth, trying to scrub the tires, accelerating, braking hard, trying to get the rotors nice and hot, and get the tires warmed up as well with the hot brakes. But as you'll see, when the race starts, I'm still kind of slow, but I keep building up my pace way harder and harder and harder. As you see right there, I couldn't get it into the gear going into fifth. But then in the main straight, I got it. So, again, I hope you guys enjoyed this race. Obviously, qualifying didn't go so well yesterday, so I'm all the way in the back, like in 25th place. I think there was 26 cars. But yeah, I was all the way in the back. But you'll see throughout the race, I start picking it up, start passing some cars, rather through pit strategy or just flat out pace. And cars breaking down as well throughout the race helped me start moving up. So just sit back, enjoy the car, enjoy the sounds of the car and the race, and see me progress as I start pushing and using things that I've learned, rather through sim racing or just, go-karting or whatever. Hope you guys enjoy. Started. Sorry for interrupting again. I was in a category B, even though I didn't qualify for that B category. There were 3 categories, A, B, and C. This is the C class car. The Z was in the A class. But yeah, throughout the race, in the first 2 laps, when the race started, it started chaotically. There were tons of incidences. And then because it rained all day yesterday, and they were also holding track days, and this event, it was a race for Speed SF, and it was a track day for Speed SF. Cars lost control, brought mud back into the racetrack, and as you can see, that guy in front of me lost control. This guy did too, and even I almost did, thankfully. In turn two, there was a massive incident involving my team owner with another car that caused a bunch of mud and grass to get on there. And you're about to see, yeah, I almost lost it right there. It was just a bunch of incidences for a 2.5 hour race in the beginning. That was insane. But there was mud being brought in from cars, losing it into the track, and especially in like a few corners. But as the race kept progressing, it cleaned up and things got better. Anyways, hope you guys keep watching and enjoy. was starting to really get into like the zone, and probably like 10, 15 minutes after the race started, I started pushing harder, trying different things, especially in the slower corners. That's where I would try to see what the limit was because it's less risky. And I started seeing that this car is pretty planted. You know, you feel the weight move around, but it's easy to maneuver and manipulate. You know, almost like a go-kart, but not to the same precision because a go-kart is, you know, very light. It has really no suspension, so it has no roll. But you started getting to a point, or I started getting to a point where I was getting very comfortable with what the car felt like, and I just kept pushing harder and harder, and not just in the slower parts, but even in some of the faster parts, trying to figure out where I can make up time. Since I started in the back, and just focus, and it was almost like being in the zone is kind of weird because you're not tunnel vision. It's like a hyper awareness of everything around you. And the guys on the radio told me like, oh, my times are at where my B class would be, and I was doing 204s, give or take here and there. I almost got to the low 203. I got to the 203s almost. But yeah, I was consistently with or without traffic hitting 204s, and it just felt so good. And even like the guys in my category, the B class, were actually really pacing themselves. They weren't hitting the 204s. They were going above that, and I think it's because they were fuel saving too. You know, just trying to be conservative for a 2.5 hour race, but this is my first time, and I just went and blanked out in a sense and just focused and just kept trying to push. I was ecstatic and just happy to feel this and enjoy this. But anyways, keep watching, you'll see. I get even faster and faster. was. So around this point, we had a pit stop. We had to refuel for the 2.5 hour race, and we came in. And the pit stops for Speed SF work in a certain way where it makes everything fair for everyone in a plain field. So what they do is they have a timer. So when you go into the pits, you pull in, and right immediately at the entrance, they put a timer on your window on a little Velcro, and then you continue up to your pit stop. And when you go to your pit stop, you can do whatever you need to do, fuel, fix whatever needs to be fixed, change tires if there's an issue with that. Usually these tires last the whole race, so there's usually not an issue with that. The main issue is just refueling. So you refuel, and your timer is set for 5 minutes, and you're supposed to stay there no matter how quick you get all the services done. You stay there for those 5 minutes. So we finished around the 3 minute, maybe 4 minute mark. I'm pretty sure we tried putting in as much fuel as possible to get to the end. It was within an hour mark. It didn't record on the video because as soon as my camera stops any action, it just shuts off, and then it started again once I was back on the road. So I don't have that content, and plus it's kind of boring anyways. There's just refueling, not doing much. I was literally twirling my thumbs. But once we got the fuel, I went out towards the exit. Someone grabs a timer. I left just for like 30, it was like 4 minutes and 30 seconds left for my pit stop. I pulled up to that guy, it should be that 5 minute mark, and I went out. And that's it, really. The car was a little heavy in the beginning after the pit stop, but once it burned off some of it, it got nice and light and fast again. Anyways, enjoy. What up, guys? It's your boy Enrique, G-Force Junkie, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as you can see, for some reason it didn't record the whole video. I don't know why. I think the battery ran out. It's a 2.5-hour race, but the race was going very well until 35 minutes before the race ended. And the clutch problem that I told you about came back and bit me in the ass. And right before the main straightaway, I'm shifting into fourth, and the clutch didn't let me. And guess what it did? It decided to go into whatever other gear it was gonna go to, and it made me money shift. Yeah, exactly. I know, painful. Very, honestly, very painful. I was very pissed. The engine obviously blew up, and yeah, talk about soul sucking, because like I was in this zone just pushing harder and harder. And when we got the car back into the pits, because it was pretty close to the pits obviously, the lead mechanic told me, like, he was really upset, right? He told me, like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. You were up 7th overall, you know, and mind you, like I said, I started in like the 24th, 25th, whatever. I was like dead last, and I made it 7th overall, and I think he said I was second in my category. So that even made it worse for me. Like, you don't understand how painful that was. And I was averaging faster lap times than all the guys in my category. But, you know, it's unfortunate, but I did get to prove myself. And after that, so yeah, anyways, like I was saying, after the end of the race, I got to meet the team owner, and he was very impressed with me. And he told me, yes, let's do this. Let's get ready for the racing season, which you will see. And I'm going to start editing those videos and hopefully bring out a video at least every 2 to 3 weeks. Because this is my first time ever editing videos, and I'm getting better at them. But anyways, hopefully I can bring out at least 1 or 2 videos a month, so you can see the progression and see what I went through and how it ended. Anyways, I hope to catch you guys again soon, and make sure you like the video, subscribe, so you can keep in touch with me and get the latest videos when they come out. Anyways, take care, guys. See you guys later.